It's been nearly 2 months since 6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan vanished from their quiet Nova Scotia home. 2 months of silence. No leads, no sightings, no arrests. But here's the chilling part. 3 children lived in that house, yet it took far too long for anyone to realize 2 were gone. The adults present, Mallayia and Daniel, insist the kids simply wandered into the woods. But too many signs scream otherwise. And Daniel, his actions fluctuate between defending Mallayia and subtly turning against her. So, what truly happened that morning? Were they hiding something or someone? And in all our outrage, are we pointing the finger at the wrong person? Before we dive deeper into this unsettling case, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Your engagement helps us bring these cold cases to light. Is Daniel protecting Mallayia? The timeline inconsistencies have been a major red flag, recently clarified by someone who lived right next door, Janie, Daniel's mother. On the morning Lily and Jack disappeared, Janie's presence was completely unexpected. Mallayia and Daniel believed she was away. But Janie was there, in her trailer, and more importantly, so was her dog. What Janie heard that morning is crucial. She was awakened by her dog barking, a dog known to react to anything unusual. But before the barking, there were the children's voices. Janie heard Lily let out a little screaming thing, loud enough to trigger the dog and wake Janie. She also heard Jack say something indistinct, sounds of movement and chatter from the children, something clearly out of the ordinary. The dog's alarm-like reaction cut through the silence, urging Janie to investigate. From inside her trailer, Janie distinctly heard Mallayia taking the kids out. Took them out the back door, out the outside the fence, onto the driveway. Darren O'Grady, a relative of Mallayya's, recounted what Janie told him. This wasn't a vague impression. It was footsteps, direction, and purpose. Janie recognized the rhythm of someone guiding small children away from the yard. This account gains chilling credibility from a physical detail Janie shared. A single small boot print sunk into fresh, muddy gravel on the driveway's edge, where Janie had patched a pothole the night before. That's why the little one boot print got sunk in the mud right at the edge, Darren explained. Janie showed him the exact spot. This wasn't speculation, it was physical confirmation that someone, likely one of the children, walked that path just as Janie heard. Adding to this, scent dogs deployed during the search lost the children's trail precisely at that boot print, at the very beginning of the driveway. If the children had continued on foot, the dogs would have followed. The fact they didn't implies Jack and Lily may have been picked up by a vehicle, driven away, leaving no scent. This disturbing possibility reinforces Janie's account and raises the haunting implication: someone was waiting there to take them. When Janie stepped out moments later, she saw Mallayia in the yard, holding baby Meadow, staring at her phone. No urgency, no distress. She wasn't searching, wasn't calling out. Janie directly asked, "Where's the kids?" Mallayya's reaction was stunned, as if caught off guard. Then she replied, "They're in the woods." That answer didn't sit right. "How long were they gone?" Janie pressed. Mallayia said 20 minutes. Too round, too rehearsed. It didn't match the immediacy of what Janie had just heard. If the kids were gone for 20 minutes, why were their voices audible moments ago? Mallayia asked no questions, showed no alarm. Her focus remained on her phone. This wasn't a mother whose young children had wandered off. It was someone trying to maintain a story she wasn't expecting to be challenged on. Mallayia and Daniel's statements about that morning are riddled with suspicion. They claim neither noticed the children were missing until 9:40 a.m., an unusually late time for parents of young kids, especially with 3 children in the house. Daniel even admitted to Darren that he deliberately misled the public and authorities. When confronted about telling everyone he searched the woods, Daniel confessed, "I still love Mallayia and I was trying to cover for her lie." That one line changes everything. It confirms Daniel knew the children hadn't wandered off, yet he chose to perpetuate that false narrative. This wasn't confusion, it was calculated. He knowingly obstructed the truth to protect someone he still had feelings for, potentially derailing the entire search. Search and rescue teams spent countless hours combing forests under false pretenses, wasting precious time. The striking absence of urgency in their behavior is another glaring issue. No frantic searching, no immediate calls to neighbors or police, just that vague 9:40 a.m. timestamp and a hollow reaction. This passivity doesn't align with any parent discovering 2 children are suddenly gone. Darren also claims Mallayia repeatedly shifted her story, confusing the timeline, making it impossible for investigators to trace a consistent path. These contradictions cost people valuable time, he said, pushing them deeper into the woods based on a story that likely wasn't even true. Daniel's narrative seemed to shift in sync with hers, suggesting he was actively shaping his story to match Mallayia's. Daniel's conflicted loyalty. Daniel Martel's behavior throughout the investigation into Lily and Jack Sullivan's disappearance constantly hints at a deep, conflicted loyalty to Mallayia Brooks. He defended her, avoided blaming her, and diverted suspicion. From the start, Daniel shielded Mallayia from criticism. As the public questioned her inconsistent timeline and lack of urgency, Daniel deflected. He emphasized that the children always came to him, not her, a subtle way of suggesting he was the primary caregiver, shifting blame from Mallayia. This was a strategy to insulate her from accountability. When questioned about Mallayya's behavior on the morning the kids vanished, Daniel dodged hard questions, speaking in vague generalities, never confirming or denying crucial parts of her story. This refusal to clarify discrepancies kept her version unchallenged. This evasiveness extended to law enforcement. He reportedly declined to confirm points that would have helped investigators verify their statements. He didn't refute her, but didn't strongly support her either, existing in a gray space, appearing helpful but not damaging her narrative. This half-cooperation often clouds timelines with uncertainty. When Mallayia made likely false statements, Daniel didn't correct her, even when he was in a position to do so. His silence became a passive form of protection, buying her time and casting doubt on suspicions. Even more telling is how he consistently redirected blame away from Mallayia. Instead of exploring her potential role, he floated other theories: abduction by a stranger, security lapses. By focusing on external threats, Daniel subtly reinforced the idea that Mallayia was just another victim, overwhelmed by grief, not deception. However, this dynamic shattered when Daniel learned Mallayia had defied CPS and fled with Meadow, their biological daughter. During a live stream, Daniel's tone shifted drastically. For the first time, he expressed fear, not just for Jack and Lily, but for Meadow. He revealed Mallayia was supposed to be under 24/7 CPS supervision and had broken protocol. He said she was terrified investigators are close and was now running from RCMP. He voiced deep concern. Now Meadow is at risk of being taken. It was clear he no longer had control or access. He had been completely cut off. In that live stream, Daniel painted a very different picture of Mallayia. He described her as emotionally unstable, shaped by trauma, and behaving erratically after a brief private conversation with her mother in an ambulance. He told RCMP he felt safe with me, he said, but 5 minutes in an ambulance with her mom and she came out a different person. These words marked the beginning of his public disassociation from her. But even then, he still didn't accuse her of harming the children. He clung to the belief they were alive, citing polygraph results as proof that everyone passed. Daniel's protection of Mallayia wasn't just about love, it was about fear, control, and loss. In his mind, defending her might have been the only way to stay close to Meadow. But once he realized she had taken Meadow and gone underground, his protective instinct turned to panic. The betrayal seemed to shake something loose in him. For weeks he had shielded her. Now he feared her. The return of Belinda Gray. Among those stepping forward, a quiet voice has gained increasing attention. Belinda Gray, the paternal grandmother of Lily and Jack Sullivan. Her name has rarely surfaced, and her position comes from a largely underrepresented side of the narrative.
A live stream several weeks after the disappearance marked a significant shift in tone, no longer just about waiting for answers, but demanding them.
At the center was Belinda. For weeks, she had remained in the background, grieving, searching, kept from the spotlight. Guiding the conversation was Darren Geddes, who organized the event, curated documents, and moderated. It became evident that many involved in this case stood together, casting suspicion and pressure against Mallayya's silence. Adding legal depth was Bev, a seasoned child protection lawyer from the UK who provided critical insights into custody laws and CPS operations. The live stream carried heavy emotional weight. It was a call to action, thick with grief, urgency, and palpable injustice. This was not going to be another cold case swept under the rug. The purpose? To pressure Mallayia and Daniel to speak up, or, if withholding information, to come forward. It also aimed to draw attention from media and authorities to intensify the investigation. More than anything, it was a rallying cry. If you know something, say something. They were my babies too. That's how Belinda began. Her voice trembled. I didn't stop being their grandmother just because Cody and Mallayia split. That line lingered, a wound, a truth she'd carried quietly. When Mallayia ended things with her son, Cody, she didn't just walk away from a relationship. She erased an entire family. No texts, no updates, no photos, just cold, calculated silence. She shut us out, Belinda said, like we didn't matter anymore, like the kids didn't have a whole other family. That dismissal was betrayal. Belinda didn't give up. I left messages, I sent texts, nothing, not even a word. No birthday calls, no check-ins, no moments of connection, just silence that grew thicker with time. Maybe Mallayia didn't want them to remember their grandma. And then came the moment everything broke. The kids were gone, vanished, and not a damn soul from Mallayya's side thought Belinda deserved to know. No one called me. No one thought I had the right to know. I found out from someone else, from the damn police. Her voice cracked, not from rage, but from deep, rattling grief. Imagine learning your grandchildren are missing from a stranger in uniform. Belinda feels erased. I feel like I'm screaming into a void and no one hears me. She's grieving not just their disappearance, but the slow, suffocating disappearance of her own place in their lives. A grandmother turned ghost, not by choice. I don't even know if my messages went through, Belinda wondered aloud. Maybe she blocked me. Maybe she blocked all of us. It wasn't just silence. It was calculated, intentional removal. So when the kids went missing, Belinda's pain morphed into suspicion, a gut-deep knowing. There is something not right here. I feel it in my bones. This isn't just guessing. It's a woman whose instincts, hardened by loss, are screaming at her. We found out the kids were gone from the police, she repeated, not their mother. Think about that. Mallayia doesn't act like a mother whose kids vanished. She acts like someone managing a narrative. And what makes it worse? Not one word from Mallayia since. Not a call, not a word, not even a "have you heard anything?" If Mallayia was afraid, she could have said that. If she was confused, she could have asked for help. But she chose silence. Belinda can't accept that. If my babies went missing, I'd be calling everyone I know. I'd be screaming from the rooftops. But Mallayia hid, not just from the world, but from the family who would have helped her. She kept them like they were her property, Belinda said, bitterness creeping in, like we didn't exist. Belinda wondered aloud, what if this wasn't just a tragedy? What if this was a choice? If she's hiding them to protect them, I get it, but don't make them vanish from everyone who loves them. That crack in her voice reveals she still wants to believe Mallayia didn't hurt them, that maybe this is some twisted form of protection. But even then, Belinda can't comprehend the coldness, the wall, the complete absence of humanity. This isn't just about a custody battle. This isn't a legal disagreement. This is about two missing babies, her babies, and the woman who won't say a word. There's something she's not telling, Belinda said again. That's not paranoia. It's a woman speaking from a place of hollowed-out pain and desperate certainty. She's not accusing Mallayia of hurting them, but she knows Mallayya's silence speaks volumes.
And in all that silence, all that pain, all those sleepless nights, Belinda still has one thing left: love. A love that hasn't dimmed. I go to sleep thinking about them. I wake up thinking about them. I look out the window and wonder if they're out there. There's no peace in her days, no rest. All I want is to hold them again, just once, just to tell them Grandma never stopped loving them. That's a vow, a promise to never stop looking, a desperate plea for truth. Belinda doesn't want revenge, she just wants her babies back, or at the very least, real, honest answers. Cody Sullivan didn't speak during the live stream, but his presence was felt. Darren made it clear, Cody is here tonight, but he's not going to speak. He's sitting with his mom, and this is her time to speak. Cody was there, listening. Maybe it was too painful. His silence didn't mean absence. He was there, and Belinda spoke for him. She spoke like a mother who had watched her son be erased from his children's lives. According to Belinda, Cody hadn't seen Jack or Lily in almost 2 years before they disappeared. Not because he didn't want to, but because he couldn't. He was pushed out, she said. No one gave him a chance to be a father again. The split between Cody and Mallayia had left scars. There was a no-contact order, built on dark, heavy accusations. Mallayia had accused Cody of violence, abuse. She said terrible things, the kind that follow a person long after they're made, even when they're not true. But they weren't true, Belinda insisted. They investigated. They found nothing. Those allegations were enough for a no-contact order, effectively severing Cody's ability to be in his children's lives. It didn't matter there was no proof. The damage was done. Cody lost access to his kids, lost birthdays, lost hugs, lost moments no court would ever give back. He missed them every single day, Belinda said. He'd ask me every week if I had heard anything, if I had pictures, anything. Darren didn't hold back. Let's be honest, false accusations ruin people, and sometimes the system lets it happen. Despite all of that, Cody didn't give up. He didn't just accept the silence. Belinda revealed that Cody tried every legal channel. He hired a lawyer, filed paperwork, went to court, did everything by the book, but it didn't matter. Every door he knocked on was closed before it even opened, not because of what he had done, but because of what someone said he did. And then the worst call of his life. Jack and Lily were missing. Cody collapsed, Belinda said. He cried harder than I've ever seen him cry. He broke down. And though he hadn't been allowed to hold his children in years, he still grieved like a father who just lost everything. But in the middle of that pain, Cody didn't run. He walked into the police station voluntarily, answered every question, gave them everything. They asked him all kinds of things, Belinda said. He told them everything. RCMP investigators cleared him. He wasn't a suspect. If they thought he did something, they would have charged him, but they didn't. The police cleared him. That should be enough. Belinda was their grandmother. Learning about their disappearance from outsiders rather than their own mother or stepfather shattered her trust. I'm their grandma. How could they not tell me? How could they leave me in the dark? To Belinda, Mallayia and Daniel's reaction wasn't just strange, it was unnatural. If your children go missing, you call everyone. You scream for help. You don't fall silent. If your babies are missing, you scream it from the rooftops. You call everybody. You beg for help. But they went silent. That silence says everything to me. This was the moment she knew something wasn't right. The silence, the lack of communication, it didn't feel like a panicked response to a tragedy. It felt orchestrated. You don't just forget to tell the grandmother unless you're hiding something, unless you don't want us asking questions. But Belinda didn't freeze. She moved fast. She and a small group of friends and volunteers began searching the area, woods, fields, riverbanks, anywhere those kids could have gone. We went out there every day. Me, a few friends, some neighbors. We searched the woods, the trails, anywhere they could have gone. No one from Mallayya's family called her. No one joined her search. They never asked me to come, never called to say, come help us look. like I wasn't even their grandma anymore. And worse, she was warned to stay away. Some people aligned with Mallayia told her to stay clear of the property, threatened to call the cops if she came close. Someone told me they'd call the cops if I came near the house again, like I was a threat or something. What kind of family keeps a grandma away like that? That hurt more than anything, being shut out. They shut me out like I didn't matter anymore, like I never mattered.
Still, she didn't quit. Even after collapsing from exhaustion, she kept going. I was out there for weeks. One day I passed out in the heat. She wrote letters, emailed police and city officials begging for involvement. No one answered. I emailed everyone, the police, the mayor's office. I begged them to let me help. Online, people accused her of causing trouble, called her a liar, said she had something to do with it. The rumors were cruel, but she kept going. Some folks online said I was just causing trouble, that I needed to shut up, but I won't. She'd mailed birthday cards and Christmas gifts to Jack and Lily in the past, never knowing if they reached them. Still, she kept sending them. I mailed them birthday cards, Christmas stuff, never knew if they got it. And then someone whispered that maybe she was hiding something, that maybe she knew more than she let on. It crushed her. Can you imagine being out there breaking your back to find your babies and someone whispers, what if she knows more than she says? But no amount of judgment or pain could stop her, because it wasn't about her. It was about the kids. I just want to hold them. I want to tell them Grandma never gave up. They deserve to know someone was still out there looking, fighting, loving them. And to those still watching, still judging, she had only this to say: I'm not here to be liked. I'm here because those kids matter, and I won't stop until they're found. Belinda expressed profound frustration and heartbreak over how authorities handled the case. She learned her grandchildren were missing from Facebook. I had to find out from Facebook that my grandbabies were missing, not from the police, not from Mallayia. That moment wounded her, made her feel erased. She criticized the RCMP's lack of transparency. They wouldn't confirm or deny critical details, repeating the vague line, "It's an open investigation." My grandkids are out there, she questioned. The implication was clear. Whatever they were doing, it didn't feel like enough. She questioned why the case wasn't treated as an abduction from the beginning. No Amber Alert, no urgent mobilization. That delay may have cost them precious chances. Feeling powerless, she and volunteers launched their own search efforts. No guidance, just desperation. And even then, authorities told her not to enter certain areas she believed could hold answers. They were left to fend for themselves, she said. That isolation, that lack of support, broke something inside her. If the system won't fight for them, then I will. Back to Mallayia, Belinda's tone was not hate, but pleading. It was a raw human appeal. If you're hiding them to protect them, bring them home. We will protect them, but don't let them disappear forever. She wasn't accusing Mallayia outright. She was acknowledging the possibility that fear or panic may have driven her. But regardless of the reason, keeping the children hidden, if that is indeed what happened, was doing them more harm than good. Her voice trembled. We all make mistakes, but those babies don't deserve this. It was not a threat, it was an olive branch, a way back, a way out. Her motives were clear. She wasn't looking for revenge. She only cared about Jack and Lily's safety. She believed Mallayia still had a chance to do the right thing. But time was slipping away. That message was her final appeal, not as an adversary, but as a grandmother who had not given up. To the wider public, Belinda had a message too. She asked the community to continue sharing Jack and Lily's story. Please don't let this story fade. Don't let Jack and Lily be forgotten. She thanked everyone who had shown support, but she also asked for respectful conversation. This isn't about who was right or wrong. It wasn't about Cody. It wasn't about Mallayia. This isn't about sides. It's about finding two babies who didn't ask for any of this. Through all the noise, her love was unshakable. I will never stop looking. I will never love them. Those words weren't just emotion. They were a vow. All it takes is one voice. If someone knows, please, for their sake, say something. In that moment, Belinda was speaking as the last line of hope. Darren made it clear he wasn't representing Cody or trying to paint him as perfect.
But he refused to stay silent when he saw a man completely shut out of his children's lives. "I'm not here to defend Cody like he's perfect," he said, "but I don't see any effort to even let him speak. He's their dad whether you like it or not." For Darren, this wasn't about choosing sides. It was standing up for two missing children and questioning why a father had to learn about their disappearance through the police instead of their mother. He didn't even know his kids were missing until the cops told him. "Imagine that," Darren said. "Why would a mother not tell the father that their kids are gone? No matter what happened between them, that's cruel." He acknowledged Cody might have made mistakes, but no mistake justifies erasing someone from their children's lives during a crisis of this scale. When it came to Belinda, Darren voiced unwavering support. He credited her as the only person who had consistently shown up, spoken out, and done everything to keep the public's attention on Jack and Lily. "Belinda hasn't shut up. She's talked, she's cried, she's pleaded." "That's more than I can say," he said firmly. "If you think Belinda's doing this for attention, you clearly haven't watched her cry over those babies." In Darren's eyes, without her, this case might have already faded. "She's not perfect, none of us are, but she's doing what a grandmother should, fighting for her grandkids."
Darren didn't shy from confronting accusations against Cody. When comments surfaced suggesting a violent past, Darren challenged them. "If there were charges, bring them, but I don't see any court order saying Cody can't be involved or care." To Darren, the bigger issue was that both Cody and Belinda had been completely shut out, with no communication, no updates. No one should be shut out of their grandkids' lives without explanation. No one should have to find out through Facebook posts. Even if Cody had been absent for 2 years, Darren argued, that absence didn't justify silence when something as serious as a missing child case was unfolding. At the heart of Darren's stance was a singular focus: Jack and Lily. "I'm here for Jack and Lily, that's it," he said. He refused to get caught in family drama, redirecting attention to the only question that mattered: where were the kids and were they safe? Darren's frustration with Mallayia was palpable. He condemned her silence as not just irresponsible, but dangerous. "You don't just disappear with your kids and not say a damn word to their family. This ain't just bad parenting, this is dangerous." He couldn't understand why she would block communication instead of seeking help. Darren's voice carried more disbelief than rage. "Where are the kids? If they're safe, why hide them? Why no phone call? Why block the grandmother? Why let people think they're dead if they're not?" The silence was not neutral. It was a red flag. He spoke directly to Mallayia and Daniel. "If you're innocent, speak. If you're scared, ask for help. But silence helps no one, not even the kids." He criticized the idea that someone could claim to love their children while ignoring their grandmother's public pleas. "You can't claim you love your kids and leave their grandma crying on media wondering if they're alive," he said. Despite his criticism, Darren urged the public to remain focused. "We don't do witch hunts, but we do demand answers." While disappointed with the RCMP's lack of updates, he made it clear the core accountability lay elsewhere. When there's no official update for weeks, people will fill in the blanks themselves. Darren also raised sharp concerns about Daniel's shifting statements regarding the last time he saw Jack and Lily. First, he says he saw them in the living room. Then it was outside. Then it was at breakfast. "Which one is it, Daniel?" Darren questioned. "That's not a small detail. That's the detail. If you can't get that straight, people will think you're hiding something." The fact that no one else was present to verify those accounts only fueled suspicion. "This doesn't look like a stranger abduction. This looks like a cover-up," he declared. No signs of forced entry, no alarm, no noise, no independent witness, just 2 children gone from a rural home without a trace. People don't just vanish from a rural house without a trace. Not both kids, not without noise, not without struggle. Although he criticized the RCMP for being vague, he placed primary responsibility on the people inside the home. "RCMP says it's an active investigation. Well then act. Tell us something," he said. "But I'm not putting this all on the police. I'm looking at the people who were there, the adults in the home." To him, any potential cover-up didn't begin at police headquarters. It began in that house. In his closing remarks, Darren emphasized that transparency and responsibility weren't optional.
It's their job to speak, to explain, to be transparent. You don't get to go dark when kids go missing. He added a final, hard-hitting comparison. If Cody or Belinda did half of what Mallayia and Daniel are doing, blocking, hiding, not talking, they'd be in handcuffs already. A legal perspective. Alongside Belinda and Darren, Bev, a child protection lawyer from the United Kingdom, offered a neutral, professional legal perspective. With years of experience, Bev approached the situation with composure and clarity. Her role wasn't to pick sides, but to analyze the situation based on what the law demands when children's welfare is at risk. From the outset, Bev emphasized a foundational belief. A child is not a possession. You don't get to hide a child to avoid consequences or conflict. She clarified that if a parent intentionally conceals a child's whereabouts, it could qualify as child concealment or custodial interference. Even if Mallayia believed she was acting in the children's best interest, Bev stressed that belief doesn't override the child's right to safety, identity, and contact. Bev maintained a calm but unwavering tone, often returning to a central question. Is this in the child's best interest? That question hasn't been answered here. She clearly differentiated between protecting a child from danger versus isolating them from accountability or lawful processes. There's a difference between keeping a child safe and hiding them, she said. One is lawful and protective, the other is isolating and dangerous. If Mallayia truly feared harm, Bev questioned why she hadn't sought a protection order or contacted child services.
One of Bev's strongest concerns was the imbalance of communication. She criticized the fact that Belinda, the paternal grandmother, was left in the dark for weeks. Extended family have rights too, Bev pointed out. Grandparents have rights, not legal custody, but rights to know, to ask, to care. She found the decision to block Belinda and cut off contact deeply concerning. Regarding law enforcement's role, Bev gently but firmly questioned the RCMP's handling. If this is truly a criminal matter, where is the criminal action? If it's not, then why is the public being told so little? Transparency, she reminded, is a tool of protection, not of blame. Keeping the public informed can prevent further harm. Bev also warned that any failure in evidence handling or investigative urgency could cause unnecessary delays and deepen the harm to the children. Rather than only pointing out flaws, Bev offered potential legal solutions for Cody and Belinda. She suggested they could request an emergency court hearing, ask for disclosure from the police, or petition for guardianship if the children are found. In the UK, she noted, a prolonged disappearance without parental cooperation often triggers emergency government guardianship procedures, highlighting the severity with which such behavior is treated elsewhere. Despite her legal tone, Bev's words carried quiet weight, especially when reflecting on the children themselves. Sometimes I wonder, she said, if the children could speak, what would they say about being caught in the middle like this? She concluded with a striking truth. Children have the right to be seen, heard, and protected, not hidden away while adults settle their own problems. In that single sentence, Bev distilled both the tragedy and the urgency of the case, making it clear that no personal conflict, no private agenda can justify silence when two children have vanished without a trace. The unanswered evidence. Darren's live stream not only revealed details from insiders, but also debated the evidence found. He mentioned that a blanket, believed to resemble one owned by little Lily, had reportedly been found near a wooded area, not far from the home. But what should have been a vital lead quickly became a cloud of uncertainty. Darren made it clear RCMP hadn't confirmed if the blanket belonged to Lily. They hadn't released photos, disclosed the exact location, or allowed family or public inspection. There was no information about DNA testing, fingerprints, or scent detection. It was said to resemble Lily's blanket, but we've had no confirmation from RCMP that it's hers. If that was her blanket, it's the only physical trace we have. Why the silence? This ambiguity fueled frustration. If a child's blanket, possibly the last thing she touched, was found, why wasn't law enforcement treating it as a turning point? The mystery surrounding the blanket pointed to a bigger, unsettling truth. There was no other physical evidence. No signs of struggle, no forced entry, no neighbors saw anything.
No surveillance cameras on the property or nearby, no witnesses, nothing, Darren said flatly. We don't have a single image of them leaving, not a neighbor, not a store, not a camera, nothing. This lack of visibility meant investigators were operating in a vacuum. Nobody even knew when the kids disappeared. Both Mallayia and Daniel gave conflicting statements about the last time they saw the children. One moment it was breakfast, the next it was outside, then inside again. That chaos in the timeline crippled the investigation. Darren emphasized, without a clear window of disappearance, you can't align surveillance, you can't pull license plate data, you can't verify phone pings. And speaking of pings, there weren't any mentioned. No phone records, GPS history, or store footage. If they left the house, show us how. If they didn't, then we need to look harder at who was inside. That chaos in the timeline crippled the investigation. Darren emphasized, without a clear window of disappearance, you can't align surveillance, you can't pull license plate data, you can't verify phone pings. And speaking of pings, there weren't any mentioned. No phone records, GPS history, or store footage. If they left the house, show us how. If they didn't, then we need to look harder at who was inside.
In addition to the physical and digital dead ends, Darren and Bev criticized RCMP for keeping the search strategy completely opaque. No maps, no scope of coverage, no indication of whether a grid search had been conducted. They hadn't even released an image of the blanket. Darren didn't mince words. They're either hiding something or they don't know anything, and both are terrifying. Adding to the complexity was the remote geography of the home, isolated, surrounded by thick tree lines and narrow gravel roads, making it impossible to notice anything unusual. No doorbell cams, no foot traffic, no random deliveries, Darren warned. Without witnesses or footage, you're relying entirely on the people inside that house, and they're not talking. In a case hampered by silence, the so-called blanket, that small scrap of fabric, stood out as the one potential clue. But without confirmation, access, and transparency, it was just one more unanswered question, one more symbol of a search that so far has only led to silence. What happened was more than just a live stream. It was a desperate cry for answers, a raw and emotional plea from a grandmother left in the dark. Belinda didn't come on for attention. She came on because two little kids she loves more than anything have vanished into silence, and the people who should be answering aren't saying a word. Her voice cracked, her hands trembled, but she spoke because someone had to. Bev, the child protection lawyer, brought clarity. This case has been missing clarity. She reminded everyone that children aren't property. You don't get to hide them, silence the truth, or decide unilaterally what's best for them without consequences. Her legal breakdown showed how serious this situation is and how unacceptable it is that we still don't know where Jack and Lily are. What's most chilling is the silence. No media appearances from Mallayia, no public statements from Daniel, no new updates from RCMP. And yet, somewhere out there, two kids either need help or justice. And the longer this silence stretches, the more the world begins to suspect the worst. This live stream wasn't about pointing fingers. It was about pushing for truth. It was about breaking the silence that's been suffocating this case for weeks. And if Mallayia or Daniel are out there watching, hear this. If you're hiding those kids, bring them back now. If not, then stand up, speak out, and help us find them. Because the world is watching now, and we won't stop asking. We won't stop searching until Jack and Lily are home. If there's one thing this live stream reminded us, it's that the truth doesn't stay buried forever. When Darren joined Belinda on screen, what we witnessed was not just emotion, it was lived experience. It was pain that had no outlet, confusion that had gone unanswered for too long, and love for two children who disappeared without a trace. Together, Darren and Belinda painted a clearer picture, not just of what happened, but of what's been endured. Their honesty, their transparency, and their willingness to speak when others remain silent gave the world something that's been missing in this case: perspective. Too often in missing child cases, the voices of those closest to the victims get drowned out by official statements or legal silence. But that changed.
We heard from a grandmother who still wakes up hoping today will be the day she sees her grandbabies again. We heard from a friend who's carried this weight every single day. And we saw that when people step up, when they speak truth, even through tears, the darkness starts to crack. The lesson here is that community matters, transparency matters, and silence from those who should speak can be louder than any confession. What Darren and Belinda did tonight was give Jack and Lily something they haven't had in weeks, a voice. So wherever Jack and Lily are right now, whether they're safe and hidden or waiting to be found, we lift them up. We pray for their protection, for their return, and for justice to be done, because every child deserves to be seen, every child deserves to be found, and every truth, no matter how long it takes, deserves to come into the light. If you found this video impactful, please like it, subscribe to our channel, comment your thoughts below, and share it with everyone you know. Let's keep the conversation alive for Lily and Jack.